Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our latest edition of The Future World, a conversation series with Dr. Àlex Gómez-Marín. Today, he will be in conversation with Sergi Torres. He was born in Barcelona in 1975, and he is a contemporary mystic. His focus is self-knowledge, starting from the mystery from which our conscious human experience arises. His approach takes the form of a constant invitation to self-inquiry. Know yourself. And he'll be in conversation with Àlex Gómez-Marín, a Spanish physicist turned neuroscientist who is director of the PARI Center. And I will now hand it over to you, Àlex. Welcome.
Thank you, Eleanor, and welcome everyone in this afternoon here in Europe in the middle of the summer. I'm very happy to be talking to Sergi, to whom I was introduced a few months ago, and we're both from Catalonia. We've been having some conversations recently in Catalan. This is the first time we talk in English, and I'm truly very grateful for having met this human being called Sergi Torres. And I wanted to start by asking you in this free-flowing conversation, well, what's the role of mystics in the age of AI? Or if I put it differently in a way that you may not agree with, you are my favorite Catalan sage. You're a kind of a sage. And those who don't know you will probably have a glimpse of that. What's the role of mystics and sages in the 21st century, Sergi?
Wow. Actually, I don't know the answer because it depends on who is receiving that. It always is about who is receiving that. So those people who are aware that we are mystery in itself, that we are conscious, that we are something greater, we are unfolding this in our daily life. Maybe some of them they teach, but it's up to those who receive it. The function of them actually is based on those who are receiving it. Although we have seen that their presence here allow us to speed up our process of evolution, let's say. But it's up to those who are open to receive the way they look without determining, without our way of reasoning thoughts. It's completely different. So it's just an opportunity or a different way to function as a human. So they are representing this alternative or opportunity, let's say.
Let's talk about the New Age a little bit, because you mentioned thoughts, and it came to mind that on the one hand, there are the very rationalistic types, and we need our reason, of course. Yes. And then sometimes the kind of teachings or things we will be talking about today may sound like New Agey, and in my view, the New Age tries to react to the excesses of thought by going to the heart. But then there's maybe a third level which goes beyond thoughts, but in the up floor, not in this kind of emotional way, sometimes confused way. Tell us about thoughts and thinking and how to go beyond them without being entangled into confused emotions.
Okay, first of all, I have to put on the table the concept of perspective. We have to understand that all of us are perspective of a reality. We are not aware of that. And I think it's very important because if I have to answer this, I'm going to offer you a perspective, a way to see differently, maybe the way we use thought, even the act of thinking. So when you start to the self-inquiry and you start to see the quality of your thoughts, there's something amazing that you realize is that you're seeing what you're seeing through your thoughts. So your thoughts It's like they are becoming a perspective itself. So my thoughts are determining my perspective. But there's another way of thinking, is realizing that you're seeing through your thoughts. Then you're kind of aware that you are thinking, not seeing. Like now, I'm in relationship with you and all of you in this conversation, and I have two options. I can relate with this conversation through my thoughts, or I can be aware of the thoughts I'm using to have this conversation with you. And there's another level, is to see the mind from itself, where you look to a situation, whatever it is, just through your mind. What you're seeing is the projection of your mind in everything. So you start experiencing experience of unity, peace, and freedom, because you are not using your perspective to determine who is the guy you're talking to, or what I am saying, or what is this scenario.
How long can that be maintained? Because some of us may have had a very brief glimpse of that. 0.0001% of our waking life.
It's impossible to maintain it. It's impossible. It's like it's more how to say that? It's more a state of consciousness than achievement. It's nothing that you get by practicing. It's something that you get by letting go what you think, letting go your thoughts, examining your thoughts and saying, well, this guy is what I see. Oh, no, it's what I think it is. Okay, is this thought the representation of this guy? No, it's the representation of what I'm thinking about this guy. So I'm gonna let go of this thought to see it again and see what I'm seeing when I see this guy without my thought. This process of letting go allows me to free my mind and to start seeing. And as much, and the more I get at this procedure of seeing, the more I want. So it's kind of a passion more than a practice.
That's interesting. It's not a skill, Sergi. It's not a skill.
It is, because we have mind, and the mind have this skill of being aware of, and we have this skill of thinking. But the thing is that we are thinking, imposing the thought in front of our reality. So it's not a skill, it's just a decision to start seeing what I'm imposing in front of my consciousness and what I'm seeing, and deciding to let go what I'm putting in front. So it's more a decision and a passion than,
Is it
than a practice.
kind of an act of one's will?
Yeah.
And is there grace involved in it? Is it if we know how to do it, is it on demand?
Yeah, you have used the word grace. And if we see that we are consciousness, and this is an act of grace, whatever you want to call it, you can call it evolution, and you can call it universal consciousness, whatever you want to call it. It's grace anyway. So this grace is what is allowing us to give us the ability to explore what are we as mind, what are we as conscience, what are we? So in this self-inquiry is when grace, or the thing that allows me to think or allows me to be this mind, help you in this process. Helps you anyway. If you want to put your thoughts in front of reality, it will help you, because your mind is answering what you're asking for, because it's a neutral thing in itself. It's just, you have this mind, use it as you want.
I don't think you're doing self-help here. I see you more as a Western phenomenologist in its purest sense, like back to experience. and suspending judgment. What's the role of belief
Oh,
in what you're telling us?
well, again, it's just a perspective. Belief is the thought you use when you are not seeing what you have in front of you. So when you don't understand something, you fill up this emptiness of knowledge with beliefs. So we are full of belief systems that says what is life, what is to be a human, what is to have a partner, what is to have a son, what is money, what is a country. So all this net of thoughts is trying to help us because we are asking that. We are asking for covering the ignorance we have when we see ourselves and, well, this society is really what it is. I mean, is the only thing we got. There's something more as humans. So when you start questioning these questions, you see all of a sudden that all you're believing is just an interpretation, is just a thought. And Alex, one day I realized that I have the ability to think one single thought that represents the thing I'm thinking about. Imagine that I think that what I'm thinking about you, it's you. Imagine that. Wow.
Yes, Houston, we have a problem. Yes.
Yeah, and a huge confusion, because if I have a relationship with you while I'm doing this, and at the same time you're thinking that what you think about me, it's me, then we have a huge problem.
Now, is there a sense of vulnerability then?
Yeah, and uncertainty and fear, and uncertainty and fear is underneath our beliefs. That's why we believe, because we need stepping stones, but they are so fragile. They are so they are no solid. They're just thoughts, interpretations.
Another element in this scaffold is doubt. What about doubt?
Doubt it's a beautiful tool. If I use doubt to explore instead of making me doubtful. So if I use doubt and I think doubtful thoughts with my mind, I get confused. I think I have the capacity to explore truth or to explore higher knowledge. But if I use doubt in this, let's say, positive way, let's say, and I start seeing, well, I don't know this. Let me explore this in a deeper way. Then the mind has the ability to show you a new reality. And that's something that we all have. We all have this ability, thinking that we don't have this ability.
How have you learned all of that? I suppose it's not through reading. It's not through necessarily through books. Tell us about your inner journey, because as I recall, as I gather, this comes from your own inner explorations. And I think that's remarkable.
Yeah, it always comes from an inner willingness to go beyond. And I think everybody has this inner feeling to go beyond. But again, the belief system says don't go beyond, because then you will be alone. Nobody's gonna understand you, and you blah 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 blah. But sometimes when you start like triggering this self-willingness, you can find somebody that says you something. You can find a book. You can find a workshop. You can find a sunset. I don't know. But there's always something that connects this inner willingness to what you are experiencing. And then in that moment, there's a kind of insight or realization that, wow, I really want to explore this. I don't know how, I don't know with whom, but I really want to explore this. And this willingness stars what I call a synchronicity, right? Something completely unusual in your life that start happening because you are awakening inside yourself.
A willingness to explore and also to share. Could you share how you started actually sharing those things? Because for some time you were filling theaters in Barcelona, and you were putting forth these very unique sessions. I don't know how to call them. They weren't a show, like a sharing, a session. Can you go back and tell us something about why you were doing these, and what you learned by being in front of a large audience and just letting these beyond thoughts percolate through your voice?
I felt kind of guide to go into this literally a scenario. I never thought of being in a theater because this is so it's so intimate. It's an inner process. So what am I doing here in a scenario talking to 400 people? I mean, it has no sense. But there was something that was guiding me there. And very soon I realized that the teaching was the fastest way for me to set this process, to understand deeply, and above all else, to understand through the processes of other people. That was like a treasure for me, to understand how other people and things and the way they get to this inner wisdom we all have.
They thought you were teaching them, but you were
Yeah.
actually teaching yourself.
Yeah. And I told them many times, but they were laughing when I said that. Yeah, but that was true, completely true.
And then you stopped doing that. Why?
Um, you know, behind everything, I see an intelligence. When I see the stars in the sky, when I see the nature and the balance in nature, the weather, I see an intelligence. So I've discovered that every human has an intelligence in their own life. So I'm just following that intelligence. I'm trying to be the more connected to this intelligence.
And that entails a retreat, going away from people, from busyness of life.
Sometimes, but sometimes to explore, to expose you more to the scenario, to see yourself. You need to be in relationship to see yourself, to see what are you thinking about any other people, and to realize what you are thinking about love, or what you are thinking about I don't know, peace. So you need to interact to see your thoughts.
And does this cause you struggle? Do you suffer?
Yeah.
With a smile.
Yeah. I did suffer a lot at the beginning. I was 21 years old, and yeah, the whole thing trembles, and all of a sudden you see that there is no time, there is no space, there is no other people all of a sudden, and you are like, wow, what is this? And you don't know what is going on. And yeah, I felt fear, and I was struggling because I was trying to keep my old system together, like to keep it running, but yeah, I couldn't. I failed. Maybe that's what I'm now laughing, because I completely failed in trying to keep this, yeah, the same thing it was.
There's something about your smile and your laughter, the many times we talk, and also now as we're speaking, that it's disconcerting, because now I want to ask you about suffering, human suffering, about war, and about a topic, quote unquote, that it's crossing my mind more and more, which is evil. You know, I think we need to talk about evil. How to do so from a proper place.
Okay, so where do you want me to go?
Wherever you want.
Do you want me to start?
Suffering.
Suffering. Okay, perspective again. Okay, a perspective about suffering. We suffer because we ignore what we are. We ignore what we are. So suffer and ignorance go hand by hand. Actually, I think they are the same thing. That's how we see it. So when I'm suffering, it's because I'm struggling. And when I'm struggling, it's because I'm defending myself from something. If I see this, I will see that I'm struggling because I'm judging something. And there's a thought in the middle of the scenario. So when I am suffering, it's because I'm judging something, whatever it is. If I don't judge, I will live that situation. Maybe I feel pain, lost, sorrow, whatever, but I won't feel suffering. That's completely different. It's something completely different. And I think we as humans should should face our suffering as soon as possible, because we will face our ignorance. And when we face our ignorance and we see how ignorant we are, we can start making good questions that allow us to discover greater knowledge that is available. Let me put an example. If I have a relationship and the other person says, well, Sergi, that's it. I don't want to keep going with you. Bye-bye. I don't want to see you anymore. Okay. Then I feel myself, maybe I feel alone. I feel pain. But if I open myself to this situation, the question of, wow, I was loving or I was desiring. Wow, I'm feeling pain or I'm feeling necessity to be loved or to be understood. So these questions that are arising because I'm opening to the situation are treasures. This is the way to grow, and this is the way to use the mind to explore higher knowledge in any specific situation. Even war. We have war right now. We humans are at war right now. So instead of pointing out, we can face this scenario and start wondering why in my life nowadays there is war, and many wars nowadays. Why? And then I can see where I am at war with myself or with the other guy. And this frequency I am just sending out is in agreement with the war I'm seeing in that country. It's in the same level. So I can change my participation in the war I'm seeing outside.
When you
Perspective.
access these levels of awareness, do you see a meaning in war? Does it look different? Does it look like even something that's helping us, or it's just a side consequence perhaps of being free?
It has meaning, and a full meaning. It allows us to stop doing that. We have war because we don't know what is peace. So we need war to understand that war has no sense. That's it. And if I see this, I will start facing myself in this scenario, and I will start seeing what I said before. I will start a process to not participate in my inner war or my little wars.
Evil.
Evil.
Let me preface it, because that's like a huge word to throw at you.
Thank you.
Many of us here, I would say, agree, see, claim, think, feel that there's more than matter, than there's a reality that's non-physical. Some people may dare to say it's spiritual. Now, if that's true, I've only recently come to realize that if that's true, and I think that's true, then maybe this non-physical reality has also some moral weight. There are good entities and bad entities. Maybe when you go to this other level, you realize, like with war, that it's all fine. It's just kind of a cosmic play. But I'm not there, right? So I have trouble talking to people about this, Sergi, because I have a lot of friends and colleagues who would say, sure, minds go beyond brains and there's a reality that goes beyond matter. But then, in the same way that in the 90s, you may remember it, here in Spain, there was this TV program whose title was Let's Talk About Sex, because we wouldn't talk about sex. Now, more recently, we've allowed ourselves to talk about death, as you probably know, here in Spain, near-death studies and so on. But we don't want to talk about evil because it's either doesn't exist or it's very frightening. I want to talk about evil, and I want to ask you, what are those dark forces, if you agree they exist?
Okay, that's my approach. If we look at this world and we remove for a moment humans and we look nature, we see balance. And you won't see evil anywhere. You see a planet with many animal kingdom, vegetables, rocks, processes. You see balance, creation, destruction, but there is no evil on it, okay? So let's put back humans on this scenario. What we call evil is ignorance. But this is part of our evolution. We have to understand that we are consciousness and we are not wholly, completely conscious. So there are parts that are in the shadow. This shadow is ignorance. And this ignorance allows me to perceive you as something outside myself. So if I see you outside myself, maybe I can see you as an enemy. I've seen a lot of couples that ended up in the court. And they said they were loving each other, but they won't. So that's one perspective. Evil in itself, in a universal perspective, out of our context, in a universal context, it's just balance. We see from a dual perspective. So while we have this dual perspective, we will see these two sides of the mirrors. So that's something, and I say again, it's just a perspective. It's what I see, and it's how I see. That's just a perspective. But as I see, there's this balance between evil and good. But evil is not a bad thing. It's just balance again.
My reaction to this, Sergi, is no.
Yeah, something.
I think, no, look, I think you're right. But no, I mean, if it was only ignorance, how can ignorance become so dark and deadly and inhumane?
Because of the fear, Alex. Because ignorance and fear are partners. And under a state of fear, we are capable of anything. So that's why fear. And let's talk about evil, but let's talk about fear. Humans are afraid almost of everything, of losing money, of losing whatever. We are afraid of everything, but we don't learn about fear. We don't learn how to face fear, how to feel fear, how to be afraid without losing our consciousness, without losing our integrity.
Do you believe in God, Sergi?
I don't. I let's say I cannot see it. I see it everywhere. It's the mind you're using to think. It's a fractal. It's a part of this universal mind. So I'm talking to a fractal of God, and the thing is that I am aware of that. I'm not thinking. It's not a belief. It's an experience that I'm having right now. So yeah, that's something that amazes me the most, because I see everybody as a fractal, everything as a fractal of this huge universal mind. And it's very, I don't know the word, tender, maybe, I don't know. It's very, very tender to see fractals of God not being aware of that. And that's very, very tender.
So you feel this right now as we're talking?
That's an experience. Yeah, that's what I'm experiencing. Yeah.
Is most of your day like this when you're having coffee in the morning?
I can focus my attention on making my breakfast, but that doesn't mean that you're losing the perspective. I can see the whole picture and I focus to a tree, but that doesn't mean that I'm losing the perspective of the valley.
Can you share a bit of what you're doing right now? If you have any project, or maybe you're on a pilgrimage, or what are you working on now?
On being a human. That's something really, yeah, we all are in this, let's say, adventure. We all are who we are, and at the same time, what we are underneath. And we are all in this adventure. Everybody's learning how to be themselves. And that's really beautiful. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm learning how to be myself. Right now, I'm doing this. I'm learning in this situation. So that's the fundamental thing in my life now, learning.
Does the learning ever end?
I hope no. I hope no. I understand that we want to have like stability and balance and to have clear things, but I don't want that. I want to explore. I want my mind to unfold as much as it can while I'm here in this body. So just, I don't know, in any topic, like, let's see what else is there.
What happens when we die?
Wow, that's a huge question, because there's no, in my perspective, in my experience of what I'm seeing, there is no one place you go after, because the perspective we have in our mind sometimes keep in place when we die. We release ourselves from the body, but the mind keeps thinking. So I've seen people not being aware that it's dead. I've seen that people. I had many experiences about that. I've seen people that when they die, they realize they have died, and then they transcend to another place. And I've seen people realizing that they are energy, they are mind, universal mind, and they just vanished. I don't know where they go, but I've seen they vanished. So there's no one place, there's no one way. It's very common to, when you have an afterlife experiences, after death experiences. And sometimes, very often, people met like characters very linked to the culture. So that's how the mind shapes some frequencies, higher frequencies. So, and that's really beautiful to see.
How interesting you present at least 3 possibilities and all
Yeah,
actually,
at least 3. Yeah.
yes, because it's usually a yes or no question, but here it's, well, it's pluralistic. It's a pluralistic answer.
Yeah, it must be more options, I'm sure, because I'm not seeing everything. So I've seen 3, so I know there's more than 1, so there must be more than 3.
When you say you've seen 3, means you've had experience.
Yes.
And what would you say to the skeptical mind that says, well, how can I believe what you're saying, or how can I have the experience myself so I can believe? And probably even if I had it, I would doubt it. But yeah, the role of evidence when we make these sort of claims, and you're making them in a very humble way, so you don't need to defend it, which is what we do in science and academia, right? But how would you make this experience of yours transferable to those of us who haven't had it?
I would say, don't believe it. If you cannot believe it, don't believe it. But don't close yourself. Be open to the possibility. That's the only thing I offer. Because if you close yourself, I mean, you don't have the proof that what I'm saying is true, but you don't have the proof that what I'm saying is not true. So just keep open and see what happens.
Open forever? Or are there points of closure?
Actually, mind is let's put it like in a device. Mind is an open device. It's open to explore all the time. So why would I think a thought that closes my mind? Imagine a mind open that thinks a thought, and this thought closes the mind. Wow, why would I do that?
To feel some certainty and be sure of things, and right?
Yeah, maybe that can be like pleasant for a moment, but there is a moment where you see that at least that's what I'm experiencing when I like shape an understanding and I see, wow, I know this now. Yeah, yeah, sooner or later I will see that it's updated. It is completely out of validity. I mean, yeah, there must be something else.
What's the role of science in all of these that we're talking about?
Yeah, good question.
If any.
Yeah, it has, absolutely. It has the capacity to understand what we don't understand, but it has to be at service of human perspective and not imposing perspective, science perspective. That's what I see. If you have a research and you have an outcome of that and a conclusion, don't impose it, please. Present it as a possibility. Look what would have discovered. Because if you try to impose knowledge with science, that's not science, that's something else. We have seen in history back then. So I love those scientists. There are like kids exploring crazy ideas. I love that. But these science that are trying to prove that you are wrong, I think the perspective is not the best perspective for science.
Yeah, I agree. What about the role of religion? And you see, these questions of mine are hinting at what you know we're all trying to build here, which is science 2.0, maybe religion 2.0. Like take the good of these
Yeah,
activities of
for sure.
the human spirit, but reform them in a way that they are in service of the human spirit.
Yeah. What religion tried to do, like the etymology of the word is religare, that means to bond, was trying to have a concept of God. And I think sometimes this is good because the concept of God can help us to go beyond the concept. It's like a window. But if you see that the view behind the window is the window, then maybe you're losing something on this kind of imposing ideas. So yeah, they have a role, they have a way to point, but I think they should be more open. I mean, look at all religions we have nowadays. Which religion is true? Which God is true? Which perspective is true? I don't see. I can't say, but I see perspective, and I respect that. I respect perspectives. They have perspective, one perspective, and I respect that.
Again, I sense this kind of pushback, probably coming from my rational mind. So excuse me, Sergi, but this insistence on perspective maybe smells like relativism, but it isn't, right? Because you may take this as, don't worry, be happy. We all have some part in this, and you see it this way, I see it that way. No.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I don't want to impose my view, but it's not anything goes, or is it?
We live in a subjective reality. And sooner or later, we have to face that. We live in a subjective reality. So yeah, perspective is really important because perspective means that we are able to understand reality through our perspective. And that's precious. That's wonderful. But when I'm taking this perspective as my identity and I get caught on it and I try to impose to other people or to get linked to other people, that's when we get confused. But we are perspective of reality, and that humans are meant to be perspective, consciousness perspective, universal perspective. We have a perspective of life, and that's beautiful. And as a humans, we have perspective of life, and every individual has its own perspective. That's precious. If we understand this, we will see the marvel of being human. And we will see that the way we see societies and culture, and competition, and all this that we are doing as humans has no sense. But first, we have to realize the basis of our mind, of our consciousness, of our life, the way we live as a humans, as a perspective.
So this is being human 101, kindergarten, kind of.
Absolutely, Alex. Absolutely. We are in the first step of self-awareness. In the first steps. I mean, I'm self-aware and I don't know how to use it. So, okay, let's be a human to understand and to grow and to learn how to be self-aware. I'm self-aware. So that's amazing. You are self-aware. That's amazing.
What about politics? And I don't mean it in the sense of corruption, which is what they do. I mean the life at the polis, like our individual life in the context of the life of other human beings. How to bring forth this awareness in a coordinated way with other human beings. Another way of asking you this is, are you a kind of mystical activist? Are you trying to coordinate many people into tuning into that frequency, or whatever metaphor you want to call it? Or rather you say, no, I'm doing work on myself, and that's good enough?
It's the same thing, actually. but it goes by resonance and not by doing. And if you get something by doing, it's because of the resonance underneath that what you're doing. So that's something very, very interesting, I think. But politics or yeah, whatever we organize, we have to have a clear purpose, clear and clean purpose. All purposes must be based on service to human race and the environment where we live. That's the main purpose in any project, relationship, society, culture, service to other humans and the environment. If we understand that the purpose of every act is this, then we will see how resonance works by synchronicity and allows us to join and to meet to enhance this act of serving life, because we serve life. I mean, we are life, we are shapes, we are a form of life, so we are serving life. If we are in an evolutionary process, we are at service of this process. So as soon as we understand this, we will build up buildings and businesses and I don't know, activism, even activism in this core of purpose, serving humans. And that's not a religion, that's not a spiritual, that's human. It's anthropology. Anthropology is this.
How unique are we, do you think, as humans?
Sorry?
How unique are we?
We are unique in many perspectives. As humans, we are unique. The way we think now in this step, in this stage of self-awareness is unique. But at the same time, the way you think, the way you see, your perspective of that is so unique, is so precious, that when you see this, and when I say see, I mean seeing. When you see this, you become this preciousness, and you see other people in the same position of being precious. You see the way they think. Maybe you don't agree, or maybe you see they are struggling, or maybe they are doing something that you really don't agree with them. But if you go deeper, you will see that they are learning. They are in an embryonic process of being this fulfillment of consciousness. And that's how I see myself, and that's how I see humanity.
Is it possible that we get extinct?
Of course, everything that has a beginning has an end, said the Oracle in the movie Matrix, says to Neo, Neo, everything that has a beginning has an end. So yeah, of course, of course.
So you're not concerned about humans just disappearing soon?
No, I'm concerned how to live my life in the fully capacity. How can I really explore what I am in this moment? And I will die sooner or later. I will leave this body, and that's an event that is part of my life. It's gonna happen for sure, sooner or later. And if not, wow, surprise. But I'm facing this possibility. I can die in any moment. So every and each moment is so unique, so alive. Every moment in our life is fully alive, is completely alive.
Do you see love as the ultimate principle of the cosmos?
Not at the ultimate, but it's really a way to get to the ultimate state. And when you get to love consciousness, you relax yourself and you start to open, because you start to love others' processes. You start to love living your life. You start to love the world in you live. You start to spread out love. And then you jump into the state of being, beingness. And from the beingness, you go to a state of universality.
Have you experienced that?
I'm experiencing the being state, and time to time I have experiences of this universal wholeness.
Amazing.
But you know, Alex, everybody is experiencing that in a certain way. Everybody. The thing is that we think that what we are living is what we think we are living. And this thought is just confusing us. But everybody is experiencing the same thing. Everybody is alive. So everybody is full of life. Even those who think they are not because they are sick, they are fully of life and in this process of learning. But yeah, it's a self-inquiry process that we have to face sooner or later also, to understand that we are alive, that we are alive.
Would you like to end with a kind of a brief guided meditation exploration with all of us?
Oh, okay.
It occurred to me. It wasn't on the script, but
Yeah.
we've talked about many
Let's do
things,
it.
but
Yeah,
maybe
yeah, yeah.
maybe we could pause and you just walk us through whatever and we do it together.
Yeah, please. That would be amazing. Yeah, it's great.
All right, so let's go. We're all yours.
Okay, so just a few minutes to understand what we have been talking about. Just put your attention on yourself. If you want to close your eyes, you can do it. It's not necessary. And when you put your attention on yourself, just please feel yourself. Feel the feeling of being yourself. This sensation of being you. Feel it, please. Feel it. And stay there just a few seconds more. Enjoying your capacity of being self-aware. And now you're going to start to open the perspective and see that you are seeing yourself. Not only that you are aware of yourself, but that you are aware of that too. Wow, I am aware that I'm looking at myself. I am aware that I'm putting my attention to myself. And realize that there's an empty space that is bigger than your physical mind, than your physical body, through which you are looking to yourself. See that there's kind of a open sphere beyond your body that allows you to be self-aware. And now see that you're using this sphere, let's call it mind, to see itself and see that you have mind with which you can focus the attention to yourself, with which you can think about yourself. But this mind that has the capacity to think is not the outcome of thinking, but the cause of it. So you are not the effect of thinking. You are not what you think you are. You are mind. And stay with this. Keep looking at your mind as the cause of every thought you think. Even what you think about yourself, stay looking at your mind and see that you're using your mind for looking at your mind. That's called self-awareness. Self-awareness doesn't come from the thought. It comes from the mind. And allow yourself to be that mind for a moment. And maybe you will see that you are inside your mind, that you are a character, a figure in your mind made out of thoughts. But you are more than that. You are the mind with which you are seeing and realizing what you are realizing now. And to finish this short self-inquiry, the last step is put your attention on your mind and see that this mind is intelligence, is consciousness, and is also focus. It is focus. It is a part of a bigger mind. It's a part of a universal mind. It's a fractal. It's what we call a focus. Universal mind has infinite focuses. You are one of it. You are one of it. And then just be grateful for having this ability of thinking, of being aware, of existing. Just be grateful. You don't need to name it, just to see it. We don't need labels. We need experiences to touch it, to be it. And we put back our attention on our body. And those who have their eyes closed, they can open it slowly. This, Àlex, was 3 levels of the mind: the personal mind, the mind itself, and the universal mind. And we can use our mind to focus on the personal mind, and that's fantastic. And we can use our mind to focus on explore universal mind. That's fantastic too.
Moltes gràcies.
Gracias.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Now we open it up to questions from the audience. And if you could use your raise the hand function located under reactions, and we'll bring you in for Sergey and highlight you. Yes, Ron, NY, if you would like to jump in with your question, I'll add you to the spotlight. And if you unmute yourself, you can talk to Sergey.
Yes, Sergey. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Hello.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for bringing this to others. My question is going to be like this. I'm going to present very briefly, a particular perspective, which is generally has labels like non-dualism, unity, etc., etc. And very briefly, and then I want to ask you, the question will be, what I am saying about this, is this exactly your position, or did you find some, shortcomings in it? I'm going to present it in the most bold way possible, because I have no reputation to lose. So I can afford to be absolute, in my presentation. Non-duality, very simply, has a Western tradition and an Eastern tradition. In the Western, you can look at latter Plato, you can look at Plotinus, you can look at Meister Eckhart, etc., etc. In the East, you can look at Lao Tzu, you can look at Buddha, Shankara, you can look at more recent spiritual teachers like Ramana Maharshi and Nisargadatta Maharaj. What this perspective says, ultimately, this is the bold statement, is that there is only the one, the Tao. It goes by many, many other names, Brahman, etc., etc. The perspective is that is who you are. And identifying, and that which you are, that's who I am, that's who Sergey is, that's who Àlex is, that's who everybody on this Zoom meetup is ultimately. And that the ignorance that results in the evil you speak about is believing that that's all we are, is this individual. And that the wisdom and the love that replaces the ignorance is when we realize that one unity that we truly are. I don't want to go on anymore, but that's a bold statement that takes us beyond being human beings, being individuals, etc., to a very, very large place. Is anything I've said you feel uncomfortable with, or would like to challenge or elaborate?
Thank you. Ron is your name? Ron?
R-O-N, yeah, Ron.
Ron, thank you so much. No, I don't feel uncomfortable because, as you said, it's a perspective, and then it's something I can learn from. And something that come up into my mind when I hear you is that all these traditions and all this knowledge is coming basically from the beginning from people that was experiencing that experience and was trying to communicate that. Then the communication became the teaching, but the teaching is not the communication, it's the experience itself. So for those who are not in this experience, the teaching is helpful, of course, because it's pointing out to where to look to speed up the process. So that's great. What can make us get stuck if we made the teaching the goal or the practice the goal, then we are lost, because the source of the teaching is the experience that guy was experiencing. So in that sense, we are all in this journey of discovering what is not duality, what is this oneness, what is the source of consciousness. So yeah, I love what you said.
Great.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank you so much.
Sergi. And thank you, Ron. If we could move to Veronica, if you could unmute yourself.
Yes.
The spotlight for you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Veronica.
Sergio, muchas gracias. Your presentation reminded me of Krishnamurti, that I met and studied, in the 70s, I think it started, and did all my academic work on him. But anyway, my question is, why are we so afraid of emptiness, sometimes called nothingness? I'm asking that specific question because of the content of what you said, but also because at some point you said, about God, and I feel like you. So what's in us, and what can we do about this fear of emptiness and this total misunderstanding I think we have of emptiness? Granted that we cannot experience it, or it's unlikely that we experience it.
Thank you, Veronica. I remember now the passion that Krishnamurti was showing when he was teaching. He was passion itself. Thank you. Look, I remember the reversal process. Being wholeness, then forgetting that. And then the moment you forget your wholeness, the first thing you experience is fear. Then you experience loneliness, and then guilty. After that, you start to cover this up with thoughts, identity thoughts. You think you're this, I think I'm this, I think I'm that. So in this making up myself with these self-thoughts, because I forgot what I am, now I am somebody. So imagine that I forgot what I am. I only remember personal thoughts. And now there's somebody saying, well, you can let go all your thoughts and remember this oneness. But the experience of guilty, loneliness, and fear are 3 steps you have to reverse. So fear is the first thing it will show up and will say, don't do that. If you want to do it, pretend it. And you can pretend it during a practice and pretend that you're practicing to get enlightened, but please don't do it. Don't be successful. So that's one of the reasons. That's one of the.
Rabindranath Tagore said, go back to the root of the root of the root of yourself.
Yes.
Not the identity, not this, the root.
Yeah. But imagine for somebody that thinks, if I think that I am what I think, I will feel fear to let go of this identity, because I will perceive, and I'm using the verb perceive, to perceive, I will perceive lack of ego, and lack of ego, it feels like emptiness, but there is no emptiness at all. There is no emptiness at all. Actually, when you go beyond your ego, the first experiences are the void. But void is not emptiness. It's the reverse of fullness or totality. So yeah, we will face fear for sure. Thank you, Veronica.
Great. Thank you so much, Veronica. And thank you, Sergi.
Thank you.
Let's see, Manfred, if you'd like to join us, I will add spotlight to you and welcome.
Yes, it's such wonderful questions and answers, which are answers. And at the same time, it's openness.
Yeah.
And I could talk for hours with you and see to find out, is there any difference in my worldview? At the moment, I think not. And that really touches me and helps me to go my way further. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Manfred. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Manfred and Sergi.
Thank you.
Jean-Pierre, you're next in the queue. So if you would unmute yourself. You're perfect.
Okay. Hello, Sergi.
Hello, Jean-Pierre.
Hi, Alex.
Hello.
Sergi, I really would like your input about an experience I had when I was 21.
Wow.
I was a student in psychology, and at that moment I was learning focusing of Jean Gentlin, which is an inquiry practice of looking inside a felt sense. And this day I was walking, just walking, and I was, as an exercise, I was asking myself, do I feel perfectly well right now? And for sure the answer was no. But I would not go into my head. I would just go into that tension or little depression or whatever. I don't remember the content, but and I would just ask myself, okay, and maybe put one word or two and just continue walking. Then, and I did that for like an hour, and then I passed a bridge, and all of a sudden, I was seeing the bridge. You know, it's like if my head was a little empty, the bridge was coming, and about half the bridge, there was a shoop. And at that moment, I felt it's over, it's finished. There's nothing to be done. It's finished. And I felt so much love toward everything. And I remember a little dog that was, and I said, wow. So I went to it. There was a little snack bar. I took a piece of pie, looking at the waitress. All was really a big light and love. And and soon my thoughts started a little bit to, but it was so intense. It was like, it's finished, it's over. I can go to school, stop, it's over. The quest is over, everything is perfect. That was the experience. I continue walking. I took the bus. In the bus, I look at the people feeling so much love, incredible. I sat, and then a thought came, Sergi, and that's why I want to ask you that, because it makes me almost cry, because at that moment I said, I had a thought that says, or I felt, I'm God. And then a thought came and says, man, you're getting psychotic. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
You're getting crazy. And it made a shoop of adrenaline. And I totally, poof, it was over. I was back. And the day after I went to psychology department, there was a professor who was teaching transpersonal psychology at that time in the 70s. And he said, look, man, you had a kind of a peak experience of a Saturday experience. Don't bother with that. Just live your life. Don't try to attach yourself to it. Um, and I was kind of down for many days. And I continue my life, become a psychologist, work on myself always, feeling that I have to work to remove the blockage, things like that. And now I'm in the diamond approach path of spirituality, where inquiry is very important. It's good. But was that teacher right to tell me, don't forget about that? And so that's it. And it's just that now, as I'm getting older, sometimes I have glimpse of that, like in your meditation, I have glimpse of, and I think that I have just to continue inquiring, and I don't want it to come back. It's always there anyway. Like
Yes. Thank you, Jean-Pierre. Thank you. You had an experience of realization, and from one side, you saw clearly what is real. beyond your thought. That's how it is beyond thought. It's how you said, exactly. And then you were shown the fear we have to this wholeness, to this experience. You saw the dissociation of the mind. Whoa, I am God, meaning I am everything. And if I am everything, everything is everything. And then the other thought, the other side of the mind saying, guy, you're going crazy. You felt God, peace, love, and fear. So now you are aware of the basis of the personality and the psycho image we have, psycho emotional image we have about ourselves. And yeah, it's amazing that you undergo this experience. And something that I want to add to this is, because the experience is so completely different from what we experience, like, let's say, a regular daily basis, like being the product of our thoughts, is so radically different that our system becomes crazy for a moment, completely unbalanced. But if we understand this unbalancing, we can help people not to be afraid of these experiences, but to help them to find an inner balance of these experiences. Because we really need people experiencing love, wholeness, and peace as something normal and not something crazy, you know?
Yeah.
But the interference with fear make it seems very terrible and disruptive, but it's not. We have to help people to understand this. So thank you, Jean-Pierre. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Jean-Pierre and Sergi. Lida, if you'd like to join us, I will bring you into spotlight. And unmute yourself, please.
May I speak in Spanish? I prefer. Can I?
Go ahead, yeah, and we can translate if necessary.
Okay. Solo quería decir que cuando me logro conectar, sé que todo el esfuerzo que hacen, y yo también, por enseñar, es inútil porque no hay nada que aprender. Y luego lo olvido.
Okay, I'll translate, and Sergi, you can add. I only wanted to say that when I'm able to connect, I know that all of the effort you do to teach is useless because there's really nothing to teach, and then I forget.
Yeah, it's true, but I'm not here teaching. I'm just sharing with my colleagues that are aware that there's something greater, and we join here because there's something greater. And I love that. I love that. I'm not here in this position of teaching anything. I'm just walking along with you. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Lida, and thank you, Sergi.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Marisol, if you would like to join in, I will add you to the spotlight.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. My name is Marisol Mata. I'm originally from Argentina, but I live in the United States. I've been here for about 12 years. And I've started on a journey of self-discovery. Actually, my mom shared one of your videos, Sergi, from the one about contemplation. That's the first one that I watched, and it's been quite a journey. And it has let me in this process. You're talking about synchronicity and resonance, and how things start to resonate with you. To find the theory of the unfolding of time from Jean-Pierre Garnier Mallet. And I was wondering if you know of it, and if you have a perspective on it that you'd like to share.
I don't know the specifics of this knowledge. I don't know. But as I've experienced time actually is a fractal of eternity. So it's a way to experience eternity on a perspective of time. So time is perspective, and because its perspective is mind. When we see time as mind, we see that the mind is only aware of itself now. So we see all the time unfolding right here and now. When I see the past and when I try to look forward, the future, I'm just seeing mind. I'm seeing ideas, and that's for me. There was a moment where I had to face that time is just a perspective. The linear way we see time is a perspective. I was shown it is a sphere. Everything is happening at the same time, at the same place, and just fractals of fractals of fractals of reality. That's what I saw, and that's what I experienced of time. But it is really amazing to start to understand time as mind. It's really amazing instead of time itself, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that would be an interesting theory, because it speaks exactly about that, the time as a sphere. And that's why I found it so interesting. And I was wondering if you were aware of this and that's why you were talking about it, or if it was just you were arriving at it from just a different place of knowledge. And I was curious. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's how to say that, I don't know, but when you look at your past and you see that you are making up your past right now, you're choosing your memories and you're making your past right now, your present and your past shifted completely, because the way you were using it is completely different. Before, we were using past to determine who we are now and to determine who we want to be in the future. But now when we see time, we are seeing what we are deciding to be right now. That's why we choose these memories to define ourselves. But when you see that, you're free to not believe that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you both so much. We're getting close to the end of the hour, or the hour and a half. Would you take one more short question? We have one more person in the queue.
Yes, please.
Okay. Sunny, if you have a brief question that you'd like to ask, I can bring you in. If you're still there.
Yeah.
Great.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'm sorry you cannot see me. I'm a little sick. I'm in the bed, but I'm listening all the time. I want to thank Àlex, and I want to thank Sergi, and I want to say to Sergi that I'm very emotional, because that is my experience. All what he says, I feel it from since I know myself. Now, since I was a little girl, I don't know if it was this dream. It was a dream. Maybe I was 9, 10, something like that. That I'm falling in a black hole, and I appear in this body of mine. And it was several times. It was not one time. It was many, many times I had the same. I think it was a dream. I don't know. And I always aware of myself. I know what you are talking about. And that's why I'm all shaking now when I'm talking, because I'm very emotional. Because I always felt like outsider, like the that's it. I don't want to make it longer. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sonny. Thank you. What you have shared with us is what we all do when we wake up in the morning. We think we were here yesterday because we recollect memories that tell us so. But what you said is this huge consciousness going into your particular.
Exactly.
So that's because you were aware of it, but that's something that everybody is experiencing that. So thank you for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Sergi, Àlex, do you have any final comments, not questions, but final comments, final things to share? Seeing as we're almost at the end of the half hour.
Yeah, I have something today to say. When we speak about that, consciousness, all this we have been discussing here, we tend to idolize this. But we have to understand that we are still humans in this process that we are right now. And it is important, it's really important to really open ourselves to ourselves, the way we are right here and right now. And to allow to feel what we feel in any time, because every emotion is part of my emotional field. So just be open to think what I think, to feel what I feel, to see my behavior, and to be open to make questions that allow me to go beyond that. But it's very important, this step of going back and to be open to be who I think I am, to see that I'm not that. So that's the last thing I wanted to add.
Perfect.
And I'll indulge myself in Catalan to end. Thank you. Gràcies, Jordi. Ets meravellós, ets meravellós. I em sento molt afortunat de passar de tant en tant estones. M'ajudes a recordar, gràcies.
Gràcies, Àlex, igualment.
Great. Thank you both so much. And as always, thank all of you, the audience, for showing up. Before we leave, I do have a few announcements to make. Our Summer Beyond Bohm series is starting next month, seeing as we're still in June. So please visit our website at paricenter.com if you're interested and to sign up for this series. We also have signups for our in-person event in September, which is Science, Art, and the Sacred. So please visit our website. And also, please, if you enjoy these programs, please consider becoming a member. We do have a number of benefits, including online versions of the Pari Perspectives Journal and discount for members on our programs. So once again, thank you, Àlex. Thank you, Sergi. And thank you, the audience. And we'll do our traditional wave on the way out. So everyone have a great evening or afternoon, whichever it may be for you.
Fins aviat.
Thank you. Gràcies, Àlex.
See you
Thank
soon.
you, everybody. Thank you.